Hey, the two articles you wrote. Pre-meeting, you got us live? Okay.
All right, the first item today is going to be a pre-zoning, 1396. This is for Danny Hill and David Smith. It is on 8th Street, approximately 2210 8th Street Southwest. Looking for an R4 multifamily pre-zoning. The one thing to note on this is the first of all, all the zoning committee members were in favor of this one. But the 2 points of information to be, or just to be aware of on this, we still need the signed annexation petition before it can be sent to the city council. And the other thing is, this pre-zoning is going to be contingent on the annexation that this body approved but has not yet gone through council action. So you would be giving approval to this pre-zoning, and then the annexation would still have to work its way through the council of the adjacent property before this could be presented to the city council for their consideration. So it's all about timing on this. But the annexation, this was the property on Old Moulton Road. You'll see it on your maps there in the hashed yellow. So y'all have already given y'all's recommendation on that to the council. It just hasn't made it through the formal process yet at the council stage.
But it's in the process.
It's in the process, yes. Which is why we can consider, you can go ahead and consider this one, get it in the pipeline. It'll just be lined up, ready to present to council as soon as that annexation is taken care of. Are there any questions on that one about that slight procedural process? All right, the next one is certificate 357422. This is on Applewood Circle, and it's taking 2 parcels and turning it into 3. This takes it back relatively close to what the original plat was for these. They were combined at a certain point, and this is taking it back just slight difference to what was originally platted for this subdivision. The only things on this, we need the signed request letter. Acreage numbers are slightly different. We need the recording fees, and they will need to verify that Unit B meets the minimum 70-foot building line requirement per the zoning ordinance. And they're working on getting that measurement for us just to verify that that's the case.
Any questions, anybody?
All right, the next one is certificate 357522. This is on North Street, and it's taking 1 parcel to create 2. On this one, we just need a signed request letter and the recording fees. And point of information to be aware of on this one is sewer service to tract 1 may need to be relocated for any development of tract 2. So depending on whatever is built on tract 2 may force a relocation. But if you'll notice on your map, that's why that little piece of property extending north that's why that exists, is to accommodate if that sewer line does need to move.
We got a flag lot going both directions. Any questions from anybody?
All right, the next one is site plan 63822. This is Gonzalez Strength for Horn Development on Spring Avenue, and it is a car wash looking to go in. This is one of the out parcels of the Walmart Supercenter development. A couple conditions on this one. We need a dumpster pad detail. DU approval is going to be needed for a sign to be placed in the easement along the front of the property. Plan profile of the sewer extension is needed. 6-inch gas main, which is Black Bear is who controls that gas main, needs to be shown on the plan. Engineering will need final sign off. And the gas service line will need to mirror the route of the water service line. They're currently shown in 2 separate locations, but they need to, per DU, they need to follow the same path. Couple of points of information on this one. A sand, oil, and grit interceptor is going to be required. And then landscaping will be required to be installed before the CO is issued. Any questions on that one?
So this is it'll have perimeter landscaping only, right?
There will be some interior as well, but not a requirement, but the developer is going to include those. Just, that's always an option, to do more than what we require. We never really frown upon that.
Zoning is gonna remain M1A?
Yes, M1A, yes.
So, and it'll have landscaping along Spring as well, right?
I believe that's what they're kind of limited to what they can do up there though because of the existence of that gas easement.
Right.
But they did do extensive landscaping on the plan set. Yeah, that's kind of one of their biggest impediments on this property is just there's a fairly sizable gas easement there along Spring Avenue. I believe there's 2 separate gas lines that run in there. Black Bear has a 6-inch main, and I believe DU has the other one. So it's,
Black Bear actually owns that whole easement up through there.
yeah, so, yeah, it's quite a sizable easement, but that's because it has to accommodate 2 rather large gas lines that run through there.
Okay.
All right, the next one is site plan 639, 22. This is 512 Beltline Road Southwest. Just a commercial site plan. We need, the site plan needs to be sealed by the engineer. Front yard setback variance is going to be needed from BOZA for this. So because this is along Beltline Road, it has to conform to our special setback of 60 foot along that corridor. So they'll need to go to BOZA. If this site plan is approved, they'll need to go to BOZA to get a variance for that 60 foot setback. Engineering needs final sign off on this, and they also need to confirm that the property has been properly consolidated into one parcel. Another point of information, there was a little question on what the exact use of this building would be, but DU did want it stated that if it's going to be used for any kind of car wash operation, then they will need a sand, oil, and grit interceptor.
Everybody understands that setback is something that goes with the belt line.
It's
Requires that additional-
specific to the belt line, and it's a standard 60 feet along the length of the belt line.
From the property line. Like
Yes,
60 feet off.
from
of
the property line.
Front property line.
Yes. All right, the next one is site plan 64022, 109 Moulton Street East, and it is a commercial site plan. This is the parking deck project for downtown, corner of Moulton and First. On this one, just engineering and DU need final approval before we give sign off on it. And if the retail spaces indicated on the design are to be used for food service, grease interceptors will be required.
So this is gonna go back, if they don't put the grease interceptor in when they build it,
There's, speaking with the architect, if you'll notice, on the plans, it's a little, you can see at the front up there how the sidewalk, there's some open spaces that are left for plantings, and those can be used to accommodate the grease interceptors, is
Okay.
what the architect has indicated to us.
Okay. So it's all public property anyway, so it
It,
doesn't matter.
yeah, it is, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, the next item is Old River Manor Phase 2. This is the northernmost of the Morris Brothers subdivisions, just continuing the lots along Lisa Lane, which is the northernmost street in that development. And this is a final plat approval. Conditions on this one, got to confirm that the roads and utilities in this phase were included in the bond that we are holding for Phase 1. We need a plat note added stating that the sidewalk shall be constructed and completed before COs are issued on any of the individual properties. Some side yard setback callouts are needed on the plans shown, and engineering will need final approval of this.
So this is a different developer from Phase 1.
Believe that is true.
Right.
No, this is Morris is continuing this, so it'll be Morris.
They were both Morris. It was, both developments were Morris's.
This is the one that the Morris development are actually building the homes in. The southern one is the one that Davidson is developing, if I'm remembering that correctly.
According to Howard, this is not his.
Oh, okay. They may have chosen another developer to build the homes in this phase.
Just want to make sure that the city understood it that way.
Yeah.
This is the Morris that's the second subdivision now. It's
Yes.
taking the second phase of this one.
This is the next. Yeah, this is the continuation of that
Yeah.
one.
The next two are the same Morrises, but it's not the original.
But
Morris
yes,
of the first
different,
one.
yes. So the next one, were there any questions on that one specifically? Any of those conditions or anything? The next one is River Road Estates Edition. So this is, it attaches to, it's a little complicated, it attaches to Lisa Lane and Joseph Drive, which are Old River Manor, but it is being developed under River Road Estates, which is the development to the south. They all interconnect, and so, just a kind of a little quirk on this one is it looks like it would be a continuation of Old River Manor, but it's actually a continuation of River Road Estates. This is the layout step of this one. It's conditions on this one per engineering approval, and setback callouts are needed on this one as well. There's a potential conflict with Lot 12 that we'll be looking to clear up once we get those setback callouts on there and can see what the condition, what state that's in. Some points of information on this one. Joseph Drive Southeast connection to Deer Road Southeast will be required to be constructed in this phase of the development. You can see it on the plans right here. It's this connection here, this road connecting it out to Deer Road. So in this phase of the development, that road will be required to be constructed to make that connection.
Okay, but there's going to be an area that Joseph Drive is not being developed in all of this, right?
So this is the layout step, so they've still got to go through preliminary and final. That phase of River Road Estates will be a final plat. The preliminary is already approved on that one. So what we've been told is that previous one, as soon as they can get it built out with the homes, then they're gonna come and do final plat and do that phase. But this does include a loop around from Lisa Lane down to Joseph Drive. So there's connection in there. If there's a gap for, you know, a brief period, there is connection around, so.
But we haven't seen anything yet, right? I'm just making sure I understand this in my head. We hadn't seen anything that connects this Joseph Drive yet. The first one.
We've seen layout and preliminary plat on that section. We just haven't seen final plat yet.
Okay. On that one block of Joseph.
On that one block of Joseph, yes.
Okay.
And then another point of information on that one is, and the engineer designing the subdivision did attest to this, that traffic calming options will be looked at on Joseph Drive. Any questions, any other questions on that one? All right, the last item is Quinn Oak Farm. This is 2705 Modus Road. This is the one that was, the property that was recently rezoned to R5 and R6. That made its way through council and has been approved. So this is the layout plat for that subdivision. Condition on that one, the road named F needs to be moved west to align with that parcel number that's called out here on the condition, which heads south. That was to be the planned right-of-way for a connection. Kensington Way is what it was tentatively called, and it would just be further connection going to the south out of this subdivision. And so that road just needs to be moved over slightly to align with that planned right-of-way. And then engineering will need final sign-off on this.
And then this developer gave right-of-way to.
That is one thing to note on this that's a little different. So you'll see along Modus Road, they are dedicating to the city as part of this plat 50 feet of right-of-way from the existing center line of Modus Road, as well as they are planning a 40-foot open space, which will be landscaped along the entire frontage of Modus Road. So you'll see kind of an extra wide right-of-way on that plan set, on that layout that was sent, and then you'll see that 40-foot open space buffer that's going to be part of this subdivision.
With planned landscaping in that buffer.
And then also a small open space right at the entrance drive, where the entrance drive comes in. There'll be a little landscaped area in the front, set aside open space. Any questions on that one?
So some of the public comments that we've heard lately about streetscaping and things like that, this developer is planning to do. Any questions on any of them somebody wants to go back to?
All right,
Okay.
and since we got a few minutes here at the end, there were a couple of things that were asked of the staff at the last planning commission meeting that we wanted to just kind of go over and give an update on. The first one is the conversation on alcohol, and I just kind of wanted to let y'all know where we stand on that conversation currently. What we did is we came up with a basic framework of changes to put into the zoning rewrite to address some of the stuff that was discussed, and we sent that out to the steering committee for module 2, as y'all had asked, to get initial feedback. We sent this out, and the responses we got back were positive, that they were in favor of these changes. So I just kind of wanted to go through what the changes would look like that we sent over to be included in the rewrite. What we would do is basically simplify, you know, what kinds of alcohol sales are allowed, and in an attempt to kind of standardize it. You know, there's a lot of questions. It gets very nuanced, you know, what types are allowed in what zones currently. So in the new zoning, what we have sent over is on-premise and off-premise sale of alcoholic beverages would be allowed in all commercial districts, as well as the industrial districts and the planned development districts. And I say the planned development districts because there are several different types of planned development districts, and they all include the option of commercial included within them. They would continue to be prohibited in the institutional districts as it's currently written. And of course, residential districts, it would not, sale of alcoholic beverages would not be allowed. And then what you would then do is you would look to the use table and what uses are allowed in each zone. And so in what is currently the B1 district and what will become in the rewrite known as the neighborhood commercial district, bars would be a prohibited use, which makes sense. It's a neighborhood commercial district that's not really in the character of that district, and it didn't sound like there was any favor on this board in particular of allowing bars in that zoning district. The definitions for what we call a brew pub and a restaurant and a package store would be what we'll call special exception uses, which is the use on appeal. So in order for you to have a establishment using any of those three uses, you would have to go to BOZA and request. So there would be that step in place that they would have to go request those uses. And then if BOZA granted that use, then they would be allowed to sell alcoholic beverages. And then other changes, other slight changes in the residential planned development zonings, a bar and a brew pub would also be special exceptions. So you would have to go to BOZA to request those uses. And so based on the conversation that was had last time and then the feedback from the Module 2 Steering Committee, those were the changes we were able to come up with. And I just kind of wanted to pass along that that's kind of the basic framework of how you'll see it in the zoning rewrite.
Which everything that's in the rewrite will come back before us, you know, so all these things can be, well, first it'll be public.
The
public
rewrite still
meetings
has
to
to
show
go
it all.
through, and that was why we wanted to go ahead and do this, is so that it would be in the public rewrite, the public review draft, so that everybody can see it and see what the changes are and provide us comment at that point.
So it'll be part of the discussion that everything will. And then, which, of course, we would have to recommend approval to the council, then the council would have to adopt it. And anything can be changed between now and then. This is just still just a starting point.
I have a question on, you mentioned industrial district.
Yes.
Being on and off. I remember hearing that before. What all of that entail?
Well, that's a carryover from the current zoning, so alcohol sales are allowed in our current industrial zonings.
Got it.
And again, all of these are subject to the use being allowed in each district. So, you know, this would just allow alcohol to be sold if the use of that would sell alcohol is. So that'll be the thing to look at when you're looking at the rewrite, will be the the principal use table and what type of use is allowed in each one of these zones. And that is the controlling mechanism of if that use is allowed, then that use is allowed to sell alcohol.
Okay. Any other questions?
The brew pub use on appeal, is that subject to those ratios of food and alcohol sales?
Yes, and it's also a term that is regulated by state law. So there's a, you know, you have to meet certain requirements by not just city law but state law as well to be considered a brew pub, and that definition is taken directly from state law.
And one
Go ahead.
follow-up there, sorry. Some of the trend seems to be, you know, going from small batch beer to small batch distillery. Does that state law, do you know, is it flexible enough for that?
Where we would currently, because that is a manufacturing operation, it would need to be in one of our industrial districts, our manufacturing districts. So like Cross-Eyed Owl, they are a manufacturer. So if you look on the zoning maps, they carry an M1 zoning designation.
Yeah.
And so, you know, a brewer or a distiller would need to be in a manufacturing zoning district.
Okay.
Cross-Eyed Owl is actually considered a bottler
Mm-hmm.
with a tasting room.
It's considered what?
A bottler.
It's a bottling, so they brew and can, and by state law, they are allowed to sell what they produce on their premises for consumption, which is how they're allowed to do their what they call a tasting room.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you ever consider about this, even they go to Boza, would they consider the setback for the bar and grill from the neighborhood?
BOZA that's when they're doing these use appeal cases, they take into account what's around them. That's one thing they always ask. And another thing that allows for is that is a public meeting, and those are public. Each one of those items is a public hearing. So anyone who wants to speak for or against that case would be able to voice their opinion before BOZA made their decision on the case. It kind of builds in an extra layer of public comment for those uses.
Anything else? All right. Good job with that. Thank you.
Appreciate it. And you know, anytime along the way, you know, any more questions arise about this or any other thoughts, you know, please feel free to let us know. All right. The other thing that was asked about was how we notify for zoning. You know, that had been kind of a topic. So in light of a couple of complaints that were received about some of the notification, one thing that we have changed in our process is concerning the handbills. We were looking for, you know, a good common sense, you know, approach to something we could do. So we actually found these little plastic door hanger sleeves that we can slip because the handbill ultimately is just a piece of paper. And so, you know, we found these little protective sleeves. They're very cheap, you know, and we can, you know, hopefully it will give them some longevity to where, you know, they can be out there until they can be seen by the homeowner or property owner. You know, The whole thing with that is just trying to find a way to keep it protected from the elements, just so it lasts longer in case it's out there for a day or two before it's found. And then another thing we've added in hopes of maybe getting a little more awareness out of this meeting in particular is we now, always our agenda, once it's ready, is posted on the city website under our agendas page. But what we've added in is now when we send that agenda over and it's uploaded onto the website, we'll be posting that on social media, that it's there and available for view. Just an extra, extra awareness that this is the agenda, the agenda's ready, this is where you can go find it. And anyone who's interested in kind of knowing what's going on, just an extra way to notify the public, of everything that's on the agenda. And then another thing that was asked about was potentially looking at larger signs. And we're going to be working with the sign shop, seeing what we can come up with on a larger sign option. We'll probably still use the regular sign we've always used on smaller properties and lower speed streets. But, larger pieces of property and high-speed roadways, like if it's a zoning that's being requested on, Highway 31 South, where we've got a 55-mile-an-hour speed limit, having a bigger sign wouldn't hurt. So we're exploring that option with the sign shop, and we'll be getting something together. And once we have that, I'll have that for y'all to look at to see what we're going to be doing.
I think those are all great items. And I'm sure I'll speak for everybody on the commission. We appreciate the planning department taking this initiative to go and do a little more.
Of course.
Anybody else have any comments or questions on anything? Okay, we've got about 10 minutes here. We'll recess and start at 3:30.
But it didn't specifically say, but I assume from all of that, that's how that.
It's everybody. I don't really know that he might be.
Well, no, he doesn't, because I mentioned it, because he mentioned the city council took his, and I mentioned it to Billy Jansen, Bill, he corrected, he went back and corrected the city, but no, they don't have to approve it, and
This
it's
is the
just
Scheduled May 2022 Planning Commission. I would like to call us to order. Please call the roll.
Lawrence.
Here.
Gordon.
Here.
Tate.
Here.
Pepper. Wynn.
Here.
Temple.
Here.
Burris.
Here.
Culpepper.
Here.
Okay, we do have a quorum. Are there any corrections or additions to the minutes from the March 2022 Planning Commission meeting?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Borden, second by Mrs. Tate. All in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so those minutes are accepted. Now, are there any corrections or additions to the minutes from April of 2022?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, motion by Mr. Borden, second by Mrs. Tate. All in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, April's minutes are approved and is accepted. Okay, I'd like to take a moment to introduce the Planning Commission members and give a brief description of what we do and how this meeting is conducted. The commission has 9 members. 8 of us are volunteers appointed by the mayor for a 6-year term. We also have 1 member from the city council. My name is Kent Lawrence. Our vice chair is Gary Borden. Our secretary is Dan Culpepper. The other members are Francis Tate, Myrna Burrows, Joseph Wynn, Eddie Pike, who's not here today, Forrest Temple, and our council member is Hunter Pepper, who is not with us. Members of the public seeking to get an item considered by the Planning Commission must send an application to the Planning Department not less than 21 days prior to this meeting. Unless otherwise specified, all applications for development approvals are the result of submittals by a private citizen seeking some change in their own property. In making our decisions, a primary tool used by the Planning Commission is the One Decatur Comprehensive Plan. This is the general community plan for the city of Decatur and was adopted through a public process to formalize a vision for the future of the community that represents the interest and will of all of the Decatur residents. In many of these cases, the Planning Commission does not have the final say. Zonings, annexations, vacation, sidewalk cafe license, and resolutions all require an additional approval by the city council before they become official. In these cases, the role of the Planning Commission is to advise the city council. The first part of today's meeting is a public hearing. Each item will be read separately and voted on after comments and discussion. If you wish to comment on an item, we ask that you come forward to the microphone, state your name and address, and make your comments. We also ask that you keep your comments to 3 minutes or less. In today's public hearing, we have a request for a pre-zoning. This is section 1150-52-85, makes provisions for municipalities to apply a zoning district to a property contiguous to the city limits with an agreement that the property will be annexed within 6 months of pre-zoning being completed. This also moves to the council. So if you would go ahead and read that case, please.
It is pre-zoning 139622, 2.5 acres, current zoning none. The applicant is Purite McAnally for Danny Hill and David L. Smith. Location is approximately 2210 8th Street Southwest. The request is to pre-zone 2.5 acres to R4 multifamily residential. The new zoning would be R4 multifamily residential. Proposed land use is apartments. The One Decatur future land use is Flex Employment Center, and One Decatur street typology, 8th Street West is a minor arterial. Comments from the zoning committee. All zoning committee members were in favor of this request. And point of information on this one, any relocation of utilities will be at the owner's expense. Signed annexation petition is needed before this pre-zoning can be considered by the city council. And also annexation 36922 must be recorded before this pre-zoning can be considered by the city council.
Okay, is there anyone from the public that would wish to speak to this request? Okay, if not, do we have a motion to recommend approval to the city council?
Motion to approve.
Have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, motion by Mr. Borden, second by Mrs. Tate. Any comments or questions from anyone on the commission? Okay, please call the roll.
Lawrence.
Yes?
Gordon.
Yes.
Tate.
Yes.
Wynn.
Yes.
Timple.
Yes.
Burris.
Yes.
Culpepper.
Yes.
Okay, this request is approved 7-0. All right, the next part of our agenda is the consent agenda. This is the part of the agenda that the Planning Commission has the final decision on and does not require a public hearing. These items are read together and voted on as a group. Today, we have these type requests. Certificates to subdivide. This is a one-step process to subdivide no more than 3 lots or to consolidate lots. A survey is required. Site plans. Proposed developments on a collector street or above. Plans show building placement, parking, circulation, landscaping, etc. And then a final plat comes after the preliminary stage where construction details are worked out and the public hearing has been held. This is where we get approval to bond the improvements. And then a layout plats. This gives us a general idea of the layout for a subdivision. If you read the first case, please.
All right, certificate 357422. It is 5.85 acres, currently zoned R2, single-family residential. Applicant is Purite McAnally for Jeffrey and Stacy Layton. Location is 2715 Applewood Circle Southeast. The request is to change lot lines of 2 parcels totaling 5.85 acres to create 3 parcels of 4.07, 0.55, and 1.10 acres. Proposed land use is single-family residential. One Decatur future land use is residential low density, and One Decatur street typology, Indian Hills Road, is an urban collector. Conditions to be met: 1, needs signed request letter. 2, acreage numbers do not match. 3, need recording fees. And 4, verify Unit B meets 70-foot minimum building line requirement. And point of information, any relocation of utilities will be at the owner's expense. The next item, certificate 357522, is 0.45 acres, currently zoned R4 multifamily residential. Applicant is Purite McAnally for Orlando Jimenez. Location is 1216 North Street Southeast. The request is to change lot lines of 1 parcel of 0.45 acres to create 2 parcels of 0.27 and 0.18 acres. Proposed land use is residential. One Decatur future land use is core neighborhood, and One Decatur street typology, North Street Southeast, is a local street. Conditions to be met: 1, need signed request letter, and 2, need recording fees. Point of information: 1, any relocation of utilities will be at the owner's expense, and 2, sewer service to tract 1 may need to be relocated for development of tract 2. The next item is site plan 63822. It is 1.44 acres, currently zoned M1A. The applicant is Gonzalez Strength and Associates for Horn Development, LLC. Location is 2820 Spring Avenue Southwest. The request is commercial site plan approval for a new car wash. Proposed land use is commercial, a car wash, and One Decatur future land use, community commercial, and One Decatur street typology, Spring Avenue Southwest, is a minor arterial. Conditions to be met: 1, dumpster pad detail needed. 2, DU approval needed for sign and easement. 3, plan profile of sewer extension is needed. 4, 6-inch gas main owned by Black Bear needs to be shown on the plan. 5, per engineering approval. And 6, the gas service line needs to mirror the route of the water service line. Point of information: 1, any relocation of utilities will be at the owner's expense. 2, sand, oil, and grit interceptor will be required. And 3, landscaping will be required to be installed before CO is issued. Next item is site plan 63922. It is 0.69 acres, currently zoned B2 General Business. Applicant is Pewright McAnally for Jerry L. Smith and Associates. Location is 512 Beltline Road Southwest. The request is a commercial site plan approval. Proposed land use is commercial. One Decatur future land use is community commercial, and One Decatur street typology, Beltline Road Southwest, is a principal arterial. Excuse me. Conditions to be met. 1, need sealed site plan. 2, front yard setback variance will be needed from the Board of Zoning Adjustment. 3, per engineering approval. And 4, confirm that the property has been properly consolidated. Point of information: 1, any relocation of utilities will be at the owner's expense, and 2, sand, oil, and grit interceptor will be required if use is to be car wash bays. Next item, site plan 64022 is 0.6 acres, currently zoned B5 Central Business District. Applicant is Pewright McAnally for City of Decatur, and the location is 109 Moulton Street East. Request is a commercial site plan approval, and the proposed land use is a parking deck. One Decatur future land use is urban core downtown. One Decatur street typology, Moulton Street East, is a principal arterial. Conditions to be met: 1, per engineering approval, and 2, per DU approval. Point of information: 1, any relocation of utilities will be at the owner's expense, and 2, grease interceptor will be required if retail spaces are to be food service. The next item is Old River Manor Phase 2. It's 4.6 acres, currently zoned R3 Single Family Residential. Applicant is Pewright McAnally for Morris Development. Location is east of 3015 Lisa Lane Southeast. The request is final plat approval. Proposed land use is single-family residential. The One Decatur future land use is mixed neighborhood, and the One Decatur street typology, Lisa Lane Southeast, is a local street. Conditions to be met: 1, need to confirm that the roads and utilities in this phase were included in the bond that we had for Phase 1. 2, add a plat note stating that sidewalks shall be constructed and completed before CO will be issued. 3, side yard setback callouts are needed, and 4, per engineering approval. Point of information: any relocation of utilities will be at the owner's expense. The next item is River Road Estates Edition. It is 25.78 acres, currently zoned R3 Single Family Residential. Applicant is Pewright McAnally for Charles Morris. Location is east of Old River Manor subdivision. The request is layout plat approval, and the proposed land use, single-family residential. One Decatur future land use is mixed neighborhood, and One Decatur street typology, Lisa Lane Southeast, is a local street. Conditions to be met: 1, per engineering approval. 2, setback callouts are needed, and there is a potential conflict with Lot 12. Point of information: any relocation of utilities will be at the owner's expense. 2, Joseph Drive Southeast connection to Deer Road Southeast will be required to be constructed in this phase of the development. And 3, traffic calming options will be looked at on Joseph Drive. And the last item is Quinn Oak Farm. It is 80.86 acres, currently zoned R5 single-family residential patio homes and R6 single-family semi-attached townhomes. The applicant is Pewright McAnally for Deluxton Development LLC, and the location is 2705 Modus Road Southwest. The request is layout plat approval, and the proposed land use, single-family residential. One Decatur future land use is mixed neighborhood, and One Decatur street typology, Modus Road Southwest, is a minor arterial. Conditions to be met: 1, move road name F west to align with parcel 13020310000001.006 to the south. This was planned to be right-of-way for Kensington Way Southwest. 2 is per engineering approval, and point of information, any relocation of utilities will be at the owner's expense.
Okay, one question back on site plan 638-22, condition 6. Should that say follow the route versus mirror? No, it's just a little thing that Mr. Culpepper asked that question.
I mean, if y'all would like, we can change that just for clarity's sake, if that would.
I think it's clear to say follow, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So the condition for site plan 638-22, condition number 6 will now read, gas service line needs to follow route of water service line.
Thank you.
Okay.
Anyone from the public wish to speak to any of these case requests? If not, do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve?
Second. Anybody?
Second.
Okay, motion by Mr. Borden, second by Mr. Temple. Any comments or questions from anyone on the commission on any of the cases? Okay, please call the roll.
Lawrence.
Yes.
Gordon.
Yes.
Tate.
Yes.
Wynn.
Yes.
Temple.
Yes.
Forrest.
Yes.
Culpepper.
Yes.
Okay, they've all been approved 7-0, and there is no other business, so we are adjourned.